tell us about what you thought of this company we had that was like catering to Greeks, and our sponsor being the U.S. Army. I don't know if that struck a chord with you at all, like, pushing war on kids, if some people took it as, but and us doing these Greek focused events.
I thought it was necessary because there wasn't anything else kind of pulling everyone together. Especially when I came to New York for the internship, I saw how divided, I guess, the Greek community felt, except at one of these events, right? And so I think you mentioned it in another episode, like this was groundbreaking, but nobody really realized it at the time. Like you're forcing teams to work together, you're putting them in spaces where they normally wouldn't be. But I think that was a good kind of modeling for how the rest of the Greek community kind of followed. I became a Greek woman in Florida where we had 3 choices, right, at the time. And so I think with the exposure that teams across the nation got on these platforms, it probably helped a lot of people expand and recruit in different states because, you can't rely on the guest book post to try to find new members in different states. So I think it served from a, organizational perspective, it served a greater need than just the networking and bringing teams together. But it probably allowed a lot of organizations to grow and be sustainable today because they had the exposure, because there was teams flying from the Northeast to Cali where they didn't have a chapter yet. And now they probably have 12, right? So I think bigger picture, this is adult Dianna talking, obviously. At that age, you don't see those things. But now looking back, it's like, it was good for business, for everyone to kind of play in this space and participate.
So it sounds like we need all the national organizations to basically pay us to do these events again so that we can continue to do it nationally and then get more exposure, blah, blah, blah.
I think we need royalties. Let's call which organizations? LSU, cause all the. I'm joking here, obviously, but yeah, Dianna, when you mentioned that, it's incredible to think about that, because at the time I didn't think that we were doing like the unity thing. Obviously, as an adult, it's like, oh my God, that makes sense. Like everybody's not unified, so let's be the bringers of unity. But like even from our lens back then, younger, I feel like we were pinning the organizations against each other in our marketing efforts to draw more awareness. But yeah, it's such an interesting dynamic.
Right. Dianna, are you still, so you're working for LTA in a paid position.
Yes.
So you must be more, your ear must be to the ground more in terms of Greek life and culture. And so nationally, like, are there companies still doing these type of events, or is there anyone, or is it fragmented and everyone's just, we do a show at USF, we do a show, several people do this, or how's it work now?
I think it's fragmented. It's so funny. Maybe in the last week or two, somebody mentioned the show and I started looking it up and I was like, these rules look so familiar. Look at this. Look at this template. Anyway, I got really excited. But no, I don't think there's anything national where you can claim that you have a national title or even a regional title like that. It's definitely maybe state driven, locally driven. But there's social media now. And so I don't know if that helps or hurts the idea. It would probably need to evolve into something else. Because people have stroll shows on social media now, like the whole shebang. So
wait, they do a whole stroll show on social media?
Oh yeah. I've seen competitions on social media.
Like Facebook Live? What platform are they using?
On Zoom, and the teams are together, like locally, wherever they are. There's judging. Everybody can comment in the chat. It's wild because I know the goosebumps feeling from being live for those moments. Like I couldn't even imagine, right? Like what that feels like, not in the same room. So
are they paid Zoom shows or unpaid?
No, unpaid.
Okay.
So
I've never seen that, but yeah, I'm sure it's happening.
It's kind of like the Verses, like the Verses series and music.
Exactly.
Yeah, interesting.
I've never watched Versus. I always hear about it, but like,
Oh, you're missing out.
are they both in the room? Are the both artists in one room, and then they're just playing their?
Yeah,
Dude,
it didn't start
lyrics?
out that way because it started out during quarantine, so it was
Right.
not where they were in the same room, but now they are.
Locks versus Dipset. Make that your first one. It was classic.
I've seen it like 5 times. It was so good.
Wow. Okay. All right. What else
Latino
is
Step
Zeus?
versus.
Yeah. So I mean, I'd love
Latino
to.
set versus Latino Greeks.
Yeah. So Dianna saw us through the entire kind of landscape. She saw the peak of our shows, and then she saw kind of like the tail off and like the departure of pretty much everyone, unfortunately. What was? Do you remember like the day Anthony and then I and then maybe Al, and
Were you
different
working or
people?
you interning when
She
I
was
was
full time.
working.
Yeah.
No, I was
You were,
full time.
wow.
And it's crazy because I was trying, again, I look back through old emails, like as far as I can go, because it seems like such a large span of time because we did so much. But it was
like 2 years.
It was like 2.5 years,
Yeah.
which is crazy, Yeah, literally, I looked at the time, I'm like, wow, I was gone by then. Like, this is crazy. No, I was definitely the last person standing with Dave in the office. I definitely remember people trickling out. It was super uncomfortable. I think I lost a little bit of confidence, right? Like there was strength in our team. And so once you start kind of removing key players, it was like, oh,
Yeah.
well, I think I can do it, But by then everything was kind of dwindling down. I remember Anthony left first, and I guess I assumed the responsibilities with Jesus on Latino Step, which I had big shoes to fill, Ant. I hope I did you proud.
Yes, of course you did.
But it was tough because then you also have our client, right? The teams. Well, where's Anthony? Oh, Anthony didn't do it like that. So sometimes it was, a little extra work that needed to happen, but I don't think the essence was there much longer after that, right? Like the magic happens with the right people on a team. So in this case, I don't know that you can kind of swap people out and expect the same results.
I said that in an episode we haven't yet published. I said that same detail
Really?
to Anthony. Yeah,
What?
same. Like that. Remember, I was explaining how when you departed, like Dianna and I had to grab the mantles and had to talk to the teams and educate them and like make them confident that we could still do it.
Do you think so? I was going back and forth with Jesus on one of the episodes about that. I'm like, I don't think teams cared that I wasn't there. It wasn't like they didn't need me. They were just focused on.
No, but here's the thing. Fine, maybe they didn't need you, Anthony, but they were used to the rhythm of the show with you and Jesus at the lead. And so once you disrupt that rhythm, right? Like you can give me the playbook and I can follow it to a T, right? I can be Anthony on paper, but day of, I'm going to do things a little different, right? And so I think just that dynamic, like, one ingredient in the soup is going to change how it tastes, no matter, how much you try to keep everything the same.
Or like we like to do sports analogies. It's like Tom Brady was the starting quarterback, but then you put in Fitzpatrick. It's magic.
Are you comparing yourself to Tom Brady?
No. But I'm just saying how like Tom Brady, like for Tom Brady on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, had Tom Brady not been the quarterback, they would not have won the fucking Super Bowl. Whatever, you could put anyone else in other than Tom Brady, they're not winning the Super Bowl. So
yeah.
But okay, I can appreciate that. That's nice.
Yeah.
Not nice for me because I don't need these,
But yeah, Dianna, I mean,
words.
when Anthony left, you and I had to, take this show forward, and I leaned heavily on you. Like I remember, had you not been there, like you were the only real person in the office left. like once Anthony was
say
gone,
real, can you define real, Jesus?
Yeah, I mean, real, like we could go to a Starbucks and we could have a very honest conversation about what was happening and why it was happening, or our suspicions or our theories, so, but you couldn't really have those with the other folks. And And again, it's a business, so maybe that's how it's supposed to be, but it just, you know, it was missing, you know, when you were gone. So we had to really,
or like talk for hours on like team strategy.
yeah. And have that
sure.
actual interest. Yeah.
Right. And there was other people in the office that supported that, right? Like, also not to make it seem like it was a two-man or two-woman, man-woman show all the time. Right. We had D2 and Shaina and Luz, and we had all these other employees supporting kind of the programs. But there was also, I mean, we should also mention there was other programs happening within the office. So a lot of people had split time. Like I worked on the comedy show, the college tour on top of the step shows and stroll shows. So there wasn't a
Dianna,
dedicated person to Latino step after you left.
All right. So in you know, looking back now in retrospect, put your experience at the company that we were all at, and like put it in place with like everything you've done in terms of like what did you, was it valuable key learnings? What did you, I guess, take away and continue to use, or maybe don't use anymore, like in your current life?
I use all of it. Jesus used to always towards the end push me to say, you have to apply to B school. I did it, Ant did it, right? Melly got in. I was like, dang, am I the only one, right? But looking back, I was like, this was my B school. That's how I felt anyway. I felt like I grew up very fast. I was given a lot of responsibility very quickly, that I earned. Not to say that you were just giving it out.
Absolutely. No, right, yeah.
I mean, looking back, I was traveling 28 days out of a month, which is insane, right? I was 25 with an Amex and like on a plane every day. But I think that high level of output, like I expect that now from people when they work with me on things.
Are you disappointed a lot in the people that work with you, that you expect that from?
Sometimes, but I've learned how to better manage people, I think. And collaborating with people. I also learned to lead with passion. I think that was a big lesson. Corporate America can, you know, chew you up and spit you out, and the politics and regulations and expense reports, right? Like all the admin stuff. But if you're still passionate about what you're doing, it'll all make sense. And so I think that was one thing that specifically with Latino stuff, it was always driven by passion. Everything else kind of just, we'll figure it out. You know, we're not selling tickets, we'll figure it out. We'll get butts in the seats. And then of course, you know, the more tangible, like event marketing experience, again, managing teams. Part of the college tour, we had to hire 25 to 30 people at every college campus, times 5. We were in a market for a week. Like that's a lot of people management. So yeah, there's a lot of, I can probably write a book.
Wow.
My Latino Step B School experience.
Lead with passion.
Nice.
Yeah, I love it.
Passion.
I love that.
That should be the title of the book, actually. Lead with passion.
Lead with passion. Let me write that down. Hold on.
Okay.
In my ideas notebook.
I was gonna ask.
Yes, whenever. Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
And
it's almost like I don't even want to ask this. I may have to cut this part out. I'm just curious. Were you there? Like, just going back to the comedy series that you managed, and you also did Latin rock, if I'm not mistaken, for a while. Were you there the night that Chris Rock showed up at the comedy club and did a set for, like, during this comedy show? No.
No, I wish I was.
Were you there for that?
No, I missed that one. Like,
what city was it in?
It was New York. It was New York. It was right before
Frank was there then?
Frank and Dave. It was right before one of the awards shows that Chris Rock was going to host. And so he does his set like locally in order to perfect it and improve it.
Right.
And so I made it to almost every comedy show we had, or I tried to at least. And the one that I missed, Chris Rock shows up and gets on and takes a 30-minute set away from, you know, other comedians. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah, I feel like I heard that story, but I don't know if I was there or.
Right.
I would have remembered, actually. No, I probably.
Yeah.
I got shipped out a lot for comedy, so I didn't do too many of the New York shows.
But just tying back to the lead with passion piece, I just want to say, like, even as an intern who was unpaid at the start, you led with passion. You didn't like, you challenged ideas that maybe you didn't feel, or you felt that could be improved. Like, you were never shy about kind of sharing what you thought, in a respectful way. So it wasn't like you were stirring the pot the wrong way. You always kind of introduced ideas. So I think the one thing I remember most is like also the ideas from Dianna. Like, she, Six on the Beach, you coined that, right? That was you in that car.
That was me.
The
That
three of
was
us
me.
were driving back from Wildwood, and we were trying to figure out what is next year's marketing campaign going to be. And Dianna said, "What about Six on the Beach?" And it was just like, holy
Wait,
smokes.
I even remember where we were in the car. We were dropping Ann off.
Yep.
We were
On our way
dropping you off
up.
in Jersey City, and then I was next.
Yep.
Coming back from Wildwood. I
I
definitely
knew it.
remember that.
I knew it was you. Yeah.
Yeah.
You should put a trademark on that.
I should, right? Damn, that was good.
Six on the Beach.
If you go back in time and watch some of our prior episodes, you'll get a good legal advice too. So if you need any licensing advice or opinions, we got that.
I should.
So speaking of prior episodes, so Dianna, tell us your ideas. You have a pad of ideas on what we can do to improve our 27 views per video.
No, I was what did I say? So it's funny, the first thing I wrote down, I don't even know which episode like triggered it. I was like, what's my biggest takeaways, like lessons? And we used to always joke about fear and rumors. Do you remember that? How do we sell tickets? Fear and rumors. You don't remember? You were the one that started it.
I don't remember.
Anyway,
fear and rumors.
I just thought, yeah, like, oh, did you hear so-and-so's gonna be there? Or, oh, we're about to sell out. Right? Like, it's now, I guess you would call it like the fear of missing out. Like, you don't want to miss out.
Right.
So we would do that. Mind you, we would do that with email and with guest books.
Yes.
Yes. Put that into perspective.
Always overhype something that you're like, tickets are going fast. No, they're not. They actually aren't. We need to sell tickets.
We're selling out right now. No, actually, well, I was thinking more about, I think you had said in a prior episode, like, if this were to come back, like, not to call it a comeback show, what would the evolution be? Or what content, I guess, would be exciting? We talked about it a little bit earlier, but I think the evolution of the teams is interesting, right? Because from this era, you have like the greats, right? But there were other teams that came from that, like the children of those teams, that still compete today. They just don't have the Latino Set platform so that everybody knows who they are.
How big are shows today? How like attendance wise and COVID? I mean pre-COVID. You don't know?
I don't. They're probably campus based, 500 people, 600 people. But it would be interesting to, if you're going to interview teams, right? Like, what's the evolution of 7? You had talked about it, that they have another team now. It's not called the same thing, but it's still like where they started and where they are now. I think that would be, content wise, that would be interesting and more appealing
so you're
to
saying,
a wider audience.
So are you saying, just for clarification, are you saying that when in the time that we were doing shows from whatever 99 to 2013, 12, like are you saying that was like the golden era of strolling or stroll shows or stroll teams?
No, I would say the golden era was probably until 2008, 2009.
Ooh, before, okay.
To be
our 2006 show or at Columbia.
Yeah, the Columbia shows.
Were you there? Were you at that show? Were you an intern or were you working?
I was.
You were working.
I was working the show, but I was probably just still an intern. But I remember I think
But it was 06 though. But it was 06. It was June 06.
06, I was an employee. Full-blown.
Yeah, you were working.
Yeah. But I definitely was there, I think the summer before, as an intern.
Have you seen, so you've seen the picture behind me, right? Like a million times?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. It's my proudest baby.
That's in the blue shirt. What was his name?
DJ Nietzsche.
That's right.
Who's actually a Google lawyer right now, corporate counsel for Google.
I knew he was in law school, but damn, that's amazing.
Corporate counsel for fucking Google. That's like
Dianna also I just remember you're the person. Sorry,
Jesus just CCFL that whole
no.
accomplishment.
This
but
has to do with that. Like even for these shows, like she.
Oh, we're doing an episode on acronyms too, Latcom acronyms.
Oh, I can make that list.
Yeah, we have a list. We have an ongoing list.
I probably still say them. I don't even realize where they came from.
Sorry, Jesus.
No, please. Dianna, keep going. You're the ideas. I want you to.
Yes, the idea. Okay, sorry. So I interrupted you. You were saying that the children of the better teams that were in our shows are living now.
Not to call them children, right? Like let's but like the evolution of the national teams. I think that would be really interesting content. And you can have like the older teams say, "Oh, well, I started the stroll," and then they're like, "Well, 10 years later, I won the competition with that stroll that so and so." I think
the best organization to do that with would be LTA, honestly. Because with your help, obviously.
No? Oh, LTA.
Well, meaning because Dianna works for them and they already want to get right. You mentioned earlier that LTA wants to publicize themselves, or no?
Yeah, but I don't know that it would be specifically about strolling. Maybe it's about bringing people together. Maybe it's about more of a historical perspective, right? Like I think the angle of the content needs to.
Yeah. But I mean, our events are somewhere in the mix of all that, I'm assuming.
Oh, for sure. I mean, there's historical value there, right? Like, I don't know.
Well, you guys, LTA won one of our Amazura shows. No, sorry. It was either Amazura or Laboom. One of those LTA won.
Probably Laboom.
And it was in New York. It was a New York show too.
Yeah.
But anyway,
I mean, honestly, from a organizational HQ hat, Greek life is hurting really bad right now. On college campuses, there's a whole anti-Greek life movement. Universities are,
Why is there an anti-Greek life movement?
It's more from a university perspective. It's mainly mainstream organizations, but it's starting to trickle into multicultural. And so
that's probably lawsuits and they're protecting themselves from liability, right?
Well, that, and also, there's been a larger focus on diversity and inclusion, and Greek life in general has very specific criteria before you can enter a group, and that's not necessarily inclusive. And so some universities are, supportive of the students are the ones starting the anti-Greek life movement. So it's not necessarily coming from the university, but they're not really stopping it. And it would be safe to say that recruitment numbers overall are hurting from the same way you go to the doctor and they tell you, well, don't Google it if you hurt your finger because you only see the bad stuff, right? Well, because of social media and because of the internet, the bad stories get out more than the good. And so I think, going back to what this platform provided for so long and could provide again is just a place to celebrate Greek life in a positive light. It could also be maybe in partnership with some of the more national organizations to support recruitment because of the climate right now on university campuses. It's difficult. It's complicated. But you can see it now. I mean, it's starting to affect the multicultural world. This is pre-COVID, and COVID just added like layers of
interesting.
Wow.
Questionable. Like, can we be sustainable, right, in an environment where we rely on everything in person, right? Most of our intake processes are in person.
I mean,
and all of those things. So
it's interesting that it sounds like Lambda Alpha is very concerned. You're talking from a Lambda Alpha perspective, right? LTA.
Well, I'm talking about Greek life in general.
No, right.
But it does,
I'm saying,
and I can speak for for LTA. I mean, it's definitely at the forefront is making sure everything we do is diverse and inclusive, but also respecting any university regulations and climate changes that now include the anti-Greek movement.
So I may be out of touch. Not that I am totally not involved in Greek life. I know nothing. I'm not on social media. But last I remember, LTA had such a huge, 1 billion chapters and 1 billion sisters. Like the last organization that I think would have to worry, but is LTA. However, being that you guys are worried, it makes me feel that like that's why you are so big, because you have to kind of take all things very seriously and think of the future. And so the fact that you guys are worried, and even though you guys are, I don't know how many, what are you at? What letter are you? Like gamma beta chapters or delta beta?
No, more than that. We have 176, 178
The
chapters.
176 chapters. How many sisters, roughly? Undergrad.
I was gonna say upwards of 7,000 total.
That's probably better than 90% of other Greek life, and the fact that you guys are worried is interesting. Like that mindset.
Well, I mean, you know, you have to put your risk management hat on and understand your
interesting.
audience, right?
I mean, I'm in LUL, right? I'm in
sure
LUL,
and feeling it too.
I don't get a newsletter. No, I'm sure I don't get a newsletter. I don't get an email saying, "Hey, help us recruit." I mean, I'm sure they're hurting more than you. And Jesus, you wanted to jump in?
Yeah, I was gonna say. I mean, just listening to this conversation, it's like assuming that Greek life, you know, generalizing here, assuming that Greek life is feeling the challenges and the pain of recruitment, which I just intuitively believe, because you know, like the safe spaces, everything that's happening on the college setting now is it will kind of prevent Greeks from doing what they do. You know, like we used to work with pledges, you know, in different parts of the campus, and you know, if there's restrictions against doing that or grouping together in secretive type fashion, which is trademark Greek life, like as I think about it, like if we were to start a company that kind of supported Greek life, like going forward, that can include almost like all the Greek organizations, like I'm not saying I want to start that, like that's a scary proposition because you're up against some larger forces, it might seem.
Well, who better to start it than an expert in a resident expert in Australia?
But you're gonna face the wrath, if you will, of that movement, you know, the anti-Greek movement. Again, I'm gonna do some homework on what this looks like or what it might be, because I never even thought that, like, I know that there's other movements going on the campus setting, but I didn't realize anti-Greek was, which, you know, from the limited.
I mean, that's anti-Greek isn't new. It's not like a new.
No. You're right. Anti-Greek isn't new, but the media that is available to be used to mobilize anti-Greek is here. You know, so I guess what I'm thinking out loud is like, the limited exposure I have to our fraternity, LUL, and I've seen some newsletters from our president to the membership that do talk a lot about inclusion. I'm imagining that what you're saying is across, you know, a broader you know, swath of the landscape. So, wow, that topic, holy cow, we
can talk about it forever.
We can make a killing, Anthony. That's the anti-Greek talk, like having Greeks on, like Dianna, like others that we can talk through, to kind of like highlight the benefits that we received from, you know, joining forces with other people, like, and what we became throughout life. Like, there's something there. I'll shut up, but there's something there.
No, you're right. Yeah, and that's why I meant, you know, this was such a recruitment tool back in the day when we didn't have the means to go national outside of the guest book, that now it's like, could it serve the same purpose in some way?
So it sounds like what we need 3 fraternities, national fraternities, 3 national sororities, to put money in a pot. Give us this money in a pot, and then we will produce anything, anywhere, you name the time. We, as you know, Dianna, you got it. I'm sure. Well, you've listened along, and you've been a part of the company. We've always wanted to do our shows within these national conventions. We even tried doing one in LTA was going to do a show in Puerto Rico. I don't even know if you were with us at the time. Were you? No, sorry. You guys were doing a convention in Puerto Rico. And I was trying to slide in one of our shows, and for some reason, the person, my contact person, it just wasn't very appealing to them. But I mean, again, so the last show we did was Las Vegas. And that is a fitting tribute to, I guess, the journey which was this show, because we did it. LUL had their convention in Vegas. At the time, the president of LUL was a brother that I was friendly with before we, got older. And he was just a very easygoing guy. He was like, "Yeah, you want to do a show? Sure." I was like, "Yeah, can you pay for the room that we need?" "Yeah, well, it's already in the budget. Sure, we'll pay for it."
Wow.
And I was like, he was just very, and it got done, and it was great, and it was great. So I mean, for leadership listening to this episode, if you are one of the 23 viewers and you have a budget, please email us at greekster.tv@gmail and let us know what your budget is.
Maybe it's a pitch not for the organizations individually, but like a NALFO, like the umbrella.
NALFO has no money though. That's been always the problem with NALFO.
Yeah, I think you're missing it. I think, sorry, I think
Sprite. We need Sprite to come in.
It's almost like if we just get on and talk about this again, you and I, we have to figure out what this platform can be. But if we were taking that on as an initiative, let's just say one of many, like we would draw the honey, like we'd have the honey that the bees would draw, like that's going to draw in the Greeks. They're going to
wait, what's the honey and who are the bees?
The pro-Greeks versus the anti-Greeks. We will bring together all the pro-Greeks if we talk about this stuff over and over and over. And we may get canned from YouTube, but I don't know what will happen after there. But like if we are the pro-Greek team that highlights the pro-Greek successes like we did in the past, that's exactly what we did, so it might be something we think about or take offline. But yeah, wow, Dianna always with the ideas. Like anyway, I'll shut up, keep going.
Yeah, well, tell us more, Dianna, regarding your ideas.
Let's see, I did have something here that says aired on YouTube. Oh, because you said let's do a summer show. And I said, I was thinking, okay, so if there was a live comeback show, what would be the content leading up to that? But the podcast could be like working through setting up and planning the show. Because I think a lot of times people take for granted, like, oh, they just show up and throw up a banner and like pass out the judge card. There's a lot of work that goes into it. And so almost like a behind the scenes mini series podcast.
Do you think a live show is even needed, or I've never seen a Zoom stroll show. We mean to have talked about it on this podcast, but is that like I don't know, what's worth doing, Zoom or a live event?
No, I would say live. Post-COVID, I think everybody's itching for connection, like to be around people, that feeling. Like you could Zoom all day long, but it's not the same.
What do you think, Jesus?
Well, I know Dianna has a leaning towards live events. Like she's always been the biggest proponent of live events and connection I've known. So I understand where she's coming from, and I understand where you're coming from, because you're more, like, let's get this done easy at low cost, and obviously online is the easiest way to do it.
Low hanging fruit.
Yeah.
Draw a line in the sand.
I don't know. I think there's, I don't know. We're gonna step away from this one changed. I think this conversation right now, I feel like there's a lot here. Wherever two frat boys go. Yeah, it's I don't know. I mean, I feel like we exhausted, like just from our Greekster end of days, like 2014. Anthony, you discussed that last show we did in Vegas. Like, I feel like the generation that we grew up with, that we came up with, like it was fantastic. It was a golden era. And I'm not sure that you can recreate all of the magic in that way. Like it took us how long to build that,
No, agreed. I know you can never recreate it. I was just thinking, like, again, measuring the temperature of the market, what Dianna just said. I'm talking about like a one-off. I'm talking about like a one-off event. I'm not talking like, let's do fucking 8 shows in 8 months. Like,
no, not a tour. I mean, it could be a tour and you do it regionally. You want sponsor dollars. And let me tell you, sponsor dollars are back.
The money got to come first.
1,000%. No. There's events.
Do you hold a purse? Do you have
I do
purse
not have a
strings?
purse, but they're pouring money into events right now. Just being in New York City, I still work events time to time because it's like a fix. I have to do it. Like I'm working the US Open next week.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
The US Open is are they allowing visit?
They are.
Really?
Not for the preliminary week, but once the actual matches start. Yeah, which is crazy.
And you can sit in the stand? Wow.
I know. I had a call this morning and I was like, I kept asking the question. I was like, this doesn't feel right. Like, are you guys going to cancel last minute?
I mean, it is outdoors. So, I mean, but
right.
Are they going to space? Are they spacing?
I don't think so. I think they sold tickets normally.
Wow.
Which is strange, right? Because even when you go to a Mets game or a Yankee game, they have like the vaccinated section and but it's still on. But all that to say, it could be a one-off, but I think you need to build content around it, such as the podcast, if you want sponsorship dollars, so that you tie in different mediums. Maybe it is
like leading up to the show.
Leading up to the show, behind the scenes with the team that's putting it together. You could do one-off, quickie 15-minute interviews with the team. They can call in while they're practicing, right? So I think the getting to the show, right? Like what's that movie called? Like Get Unto the Greek.
Yeah.
Like
yeah,
that. Like how are you getting to show Jesus getting on an airplane from Australia? Like I'm going for this, like that lead in, I think is what people want to see.
I think more interesting is sending Raul a camera wherever in the world he is, because he's been our MC, and following him because he's got a music career as well. So he's probably like bumping into some interesting stuff on his, journey.
There you go. And then you bring back like old heads, like bring back Gabe and Raul face off. Oh, that would be hysterical. But then you got to infuse the new, right? Like, what are the new kids going to know? They don't know who Gabe is. Gabe's a politician to anybody,
Is he a politician?
He is. He is, right?
What? I don't know.
He's a commissioner or something in Jersey.
I vaguely remember him running for some office. So yeah, I'm pretty sure he's still there.
Wow.
He is a public elected official in Jersey.
Wow.
But yeah, and it could be, and if you wanted to not do a one-off, you could tie in the conversation we're just having, and maybe it's a panel discussion that's live streamed with Greeks from different eras talking about the benefits that Greek life brought to them, why they're excited to attend the show, and kind of tie it all in so that you kind of cover more content than just the live event. And it'll help sell tickets in the end.
What was Gabriel's last name? Gabe
Rodriguez.
Rodriguez. Long Gabe.
Hey D, side note, there's a Netflix documentary, I forget the name of it. You may have seen it. It's an events company that was working the Bahamas. The tennis. They were working a tennis event. I forget which one. It was maybe in Switzerland. And right as they're about to launch, that's when COVID, March 2020, it all happened. But it follows kind of like their process as they're going through. Is this I think it's the Swiss Open. Is this going to be canceled or not? So I don't know. It might be interesting to see. I thought you'd be all over it, like an events company.
I haven't seen it. But have you seen the other documentary with
which one?
The batanga that they were doing in the Bahamas?
Oh, Fire Festival.
Ooh, there was like 3 documentaries on that. Oh my God, I could not stop watching it. It's like, this is such a train wreck.
Yeah.
No, I need to look at the tennis one. That's
But I'll find the name of it. But it's an events company. The tennis episode was just like the last one before COVID hit, and they just couldn't film any more live events. But it was good. It was a good one. But yeah, so anyone listening, if it's not us, please, we need a pro-Greek movement. We need the pro-Greek kind of like, and that may exist already. We're just not kind of like thinking about it or aware.
Hold on, guys. Newsflash. I was Googling while you guys were talking. Gabriel Rodriguez is the fucking mayor of West New York, New Jersey.
There you go. I told you he was an elected official.
Boss.
That is unbelievable.
Yeah. So
in a good way.
Raul face off. No, it's amazing.
That is crazy. Crazy.
He could talk pro-Greek like nobody's business.
Absolutely.
But anyway, sorry. I'll get off that pedestal. There's something there, man. There's something there.
Put him on the panel.
Yeah, sure. Wow, that's crazy. Okay.
Okay.
What other things you have on your notepad, Dianna?
I think that's it. I was trying to go through my timeline with you guys, but I couldn't remember much.
Okay. All right. Any last comments, sisters?
No, I mean, thank you so much for blessing us with your time,
Yes.
your energy. After all these years, you're still, never hesitate to get on the phone and talk to us, help us. Might be doing some other work together, hopefully in the future. But we appreciate your time, Dianna. You were pivotal in the entire, like in my career. I'll speak for myself. Like I know, without you to be there to lean on.
You're gonna make her cry, bro. Come on.
Hey, she was every person that I've interfaced with and that I still talk to today in my career, like they've been
You
pivotal
compare
in
it
some
to
way.
Dianna?
So no, I'm just saying everybody who I still talk to, like if I worked with you and I don't talk to you, it's because you weren't like pivotal in my career. So you were always that rock, that ideas, machine, that hustle, that that really just reminded me how I have to kind of execute in my own world. So thank you, and hopefully this isn't the last conversation we have with you. I think down the road there'll be some other places where the paths kind of crossed.
Yes.
So thank you for joining us today.
I will gladly come back, and especially for a brainstorm session.
Yes. Thank you, Dianna, for indulging us in this reminiscing of the old times and things that we learned and you learned. And I know you're probably a busy woman nowadays.
Do you want to give a shout out to your company and what you do in case the 26 listeners need your resource?
Yeah. What are you doing now?
What am I doing? I have my own company, Koi Collective, both with a K, and I provide marketing consulting for nonprofit groups. Ooh. And then on the side, I am the executive administrator for Lambda Theta Alpha. So I'm the first paid employee or paid staff member, working on our second one. Hopefully soon in the next 6 to 10 months, we'll have a second. I'll have a coworker.
Nice.
So yeah.
That really says a lot. That you were the first paid intern to go to, and then get hired at LACOM, and now you're the first paid Lambda Theta Alpha official employee. So that's pretty cool. Another accolade you can add to your award shelf. Your award shelf.
I gotta get a shelf.
They're celebrating 50 years, right? In 4 years. That's incredible. Mm-hmm. The first Latina Greek organization celebrating 50. Wow, that's gigantic. But
I'll invite you to the party.
Nice.
Yes.
Thank you, guys. I will be back.
Okay. Thank you, Dianna.
Thanks, Steve.
Bye.
Bye.